Hey folks, happy Saturday morning rant. I woke my ass up early this morning because I had to find a new trainer. So my other trainer, who I know y'all heard me talk about, formerly incarcerated dude, he only been home from prison 2 years. I started fucking with him within months of him coming home. Great trainer, methodical, thoughtful, focused, educated, balanced, all this shit. This motherfucker opens his own gym and is blowing the fuck up. And so, first of all, he moved further downtown. So he's no longer in the hood. That bothered the shit out of me, but I still used to get up in my car, drive downtown so I could fuck with him. And now he's just like famous, like fucking, like everybody wants to work out with this motherfucker at Fit Body Nation. And you know what it means? It means I don't get the kind of personalized fucking care that I want from my trainer. I know that shit sound fucking uppity, but I work hard so I can be uppity. And so, like, it ain't even the training part. Like, I know how to fuck to work out because I spent 6 years in prison learning how to do it all wrong, and then came home, learned how to do it right. So I know how to work out. But I'm lazy as fuck around this kind of shit. Like, people probably are surprised by that because I am so disciplined around other shit. But the thing I am disciplined around is, like, if a motherfucker is somewhere waiting for me, you can bet I'm going to be there on time or I'm going to be there early. So if I don't show up, call the police. Actually, don't call the police. Check the hospital. Don't call the police because the police might end up being the problem. So hold on. So I need a formerly incarcerated. I know y'all like, oh, he always want to fuck with formerly incarcerated people. Why? It's not that I don't fuck with people who are not formerly incarcerated. It's just that, like, I ain't gonna lie. Like, if somebody get hit by a bus, I might run up to that bus and like be like, yo, are you formerly incarcerated before I reach up under there to help? I don't know. It's just how I get down. When you got like this shared trauma with people, like you've been through some shit together, or you know what they've been through, that shit matters. So yeah, I try to fuck with formerly incarcerated people, but I get my ass up this morning because I called this company and they're like, oh, we can get you a trainer and he'll be there on time, and the first workout is free and you'll see if you like him. And so I go to the gym. I'm like 15 minutes early. It's cold as fuck outside. My bodega coffee is done in like 10 minutes. Stand in front of the gym. I'm fucking shivering. I do the 10-minute rule now. So now I've been there 25 minutes. 10-minute rule. He don't show up. I give him another 4 minutes. He don't show up. I leave. See? Formerly incarcerated dude, hungry, just got home from prison, need money, need to tell his PO that he working. He would have been there on time. So now you understand why I'm trying to fuck with a formerly incarcerated trainer. So if you know somebody in Harlem, want to get up early, want to work out 4 or 5 days a week, hit me up in the DM. But I can't keep fucking with these people who don't seem to have that kind of drive and don't seem to want that kind of money and don't seem to, like, have a reason to show up. I'm happy Danny built out his business, though. Good for him. So that makes me think about income, though, because, like, I be bitching about how much money I made when I first started working in nonprofit. $16,000 a year. So it was 24 years ago. It was in 2000. So people be like, come on, Glenn, that was in 2000. So yeah, you were making $16,000. First of all, fuck you. 2000 is not that long ago, I'd like to think. And at the same time, this morning, when I was up trying to get my lazy ass ready to go to the gym and trying to convince my ass that I needed to get up and go to the gym, I decided to get on the computer and Google, if I made $16,000 in the year 2000, what would I be making today if it was the same dollar amount increase for the time that's gone by? And the answer was $29,161 with the rate of inflation. So you still think $29,161 is a good salary? I know I live in New York, and I know there's a bunch of y'all out there living in the Midwest that's like, that may really be a good salary, especially progressive people. That may really be a good salary for your nigger ass. Like, no, motherfucker, that is not a good salary. That's not a good salary. I live in Harlem. I live in New York. That's not a good fucking salary. It's a terrible fucking salary. And I shouldn't have been making $16,000 back then. And nobody should be making that shit up now. $29,161. I got a formerly incarcerated person on my team who I just cut a check to for $23,000 and change for a month worth of work. Fuck out of here with your $29,000 a year. Definitely fuck out of here with your $16,000 a year job in nonprofit. If I was making $29,000 a year, I'd be sticking up jewelry stores on weekend. That shit is fucking crazy. This shit is just crazy. Like, who would pay somebody that? I'd rather have 3 people on my team making really good money than 10 people on my team not making no motherfucking money. If you got talented people, you're supposed to retain them. And then, you know what y'all be doing in the night? This shit is crazy because you're going to think I'm just talking shit about liberals and progressives, and you're going to be like, oh, he's just jaded. No. Like, if you look at the response to the State of the Union address this week, and you see Senator Katie Britt sitting in a fucking kitchen because that's where they think women belong, and God forbid it was Tim Scott, he'd be sitting in a fucking cotton field doing that response to the State of the Union. So I got my criticisms about both sides, but right now, yeah, I'm fucking with the liberals. I'm fucking with progressive people because that's where I spent 17 years of my life in nonprofit. I mean, I'm still in nonprofit, running the business, helping people in nonprofit, but I mean, like, in it, like in the fucking fishbowl, where like you go from pet to thread, especially if you're black, especially if you're brown, where like foundations and nonprofits, if they want to cancel you, blackmail you, blacklist you, blackball you, they could do all of that shit. And actually, it's just as harsh as our criminal justice system. In some ways, the foundations are the judges and the fucking nonprofits are the prosecutors, and you get banished. So don't get me started. But let me stay on this salary thing for a minute. Because like a nonprofit will not only pay people like literally next to nothing, but they will create a job description called like case manager, graphic design, development, facilities, operations director. What fuck are you talking about? Like, how the fuck are you going to be looking for a unicorn and then paying? If you're going, I mean, fuck it. If you're going to look for a unicorn, some people are generalists like myself. I'd like to think I've done so many jobs in nonprofit that I could be a bit of a fucking unicorn. But at least pay me like the splendid fucking unicorn that I am. No. Y'all hire a motherfucker and then like a month later be like, well, you know, he's really not as good at graphic design as he said he was. Yeah, you think? Because your job description made no fucking sense in the beginning, and because you're not paying him enough anyway, and he's probably spending half his life driving Uber cars to fucking make enough of a salary to fucking live and to be your nonprofit unicorn. Not that I have an opinion about this shit. Let's talk about what I've been doing lately. So I'm not in nonprofit no more, so people can't tell me who to love, who to hate. People can't tell me who to fuck with, who to not fuck with. People can't indoctrinate me with the way they think about things versus me going out there and learning on my own. People can't put me in a box and act like all formerly incarcerated people are the same. That shit just don't work with me. Like, hello, like, formerly incarcerated people are different, have their own opinions, feel differently about different fucking things. So let me be who the fuck I want to be. So I've been deciding that I can't do the conference thing, right? Like, I get invited to conference, I get invited to speak at conferences, I get invited to be on panels, I get offered resources to do public speaking. Really not as interested in that shit anymore. Not that I don't get that people go to conferences to network. Everybody wants a free trip to Puerto Rico. Everybody wants a free trip to Miami. I get it. Everyone does it. Corporate America. I know y'all hate corporate America, but corporate America does it. Same shit y'all be doing. Call it a conference, but put it in a place where everyone wants to go. And you get to network. So I don't want to discount the importance of networking. You know, your network is your net worth. I know y'all don't like me saying that because that sounds too capitalist. Fuck you. But I don't really like doing those kinds of things anymore. So there's a lot about like what I did for 17 years. And I'll admit, I was doing all that shit. Like, I was playing the fucking role. I was poster child. I don't really do none of that shit no more, but I do what the fuck I want to do. And lately what I've been wanting to do is what Jesus did, which is like go into prisons and see if I could learn from people in prison. I know the Christians out there like, Glenn, Jesus went to prison to help people who were downtrodden. Stop the bullshit, yo. Jesus went to prison to learn from people in prison. The most resilient motherfuckers I ever met are the people I met in prison. The most smart motherfuckers I've met are people in prison. The most strategic motherfuckers I've met are people in prison. The shrewdest motherfuckers I met are people in prison. The most entrepreneurial motherfuckers I've met are people in prison. The most creative motherfuckers I've met are people in prison. So I visit prisons. I've visited like 100 prisons in the last 24 years. Probably more if you count jails. So I'm still visiting these prisons and I'm like asking people inside, you know, what they care about. Why? Because you got to be in the deep end of the fucking pool if you want to end mass incarceration. And I know like 20 years ago, the deep end was like formerly incarcerated people finding their way into leadership, getting access to resources. That has gone relatively well. Some of it has been fucked up because some people closest to the problem are the fucking problem. Some of y'all got money, wild out, started being the fucking oppressor yourselves. But for the most part, like we're positioned now to be running organizations, to be in the Ford Foundation, kissing ass for money. Like I get it. Like we got what the fuck we wanted. But that means that now, like, who the fuck is trying to lose the free trips to Puerto Rico? Who's trying to lose the free trips to Miami? Like, formerly incarcerated people also who are in leadership positions in nonprofits have quickly become part of that system, part of the nonprofit industrial complex. Not all of y'all. I noticed some of you, like fucking butterflies in your stomach right now. Like, why the fuck is he saying that? I get that. Not all of y'all. But most of y'all, many of y'all, have decided to become part of the fucking problem by getting way too sort of caught up in this nonprofit shit. In fact, if getting a job in nonprofit is the bar we've set for formerly incarcerated people, we've set the bar way too fucking low. It was just a strategy to get people who were in the deep end of the pool to be in leadership. Guess what though? Y'all ain't no longer in the deep end of the pool, and if you are, you're in a motherfucking yacht. And so you ain't suffering like you was suffering before. But you know who is in the deep end of the pool? People who still locked the fuck up. So who should we be listening to? People who are locked the fuck up. Like that should be our North Star at this point. That's who we should listen to. That's who we should resource. That's who we should position to have a voice. Because why? Who do you think has the most interest in getting out of fucking prison except people in prison? Like getting their liberty. People in prison. Yeah, people in prison and their families and their loved ones and their children. Because all of their hopes, dreams, freedom, everything tied up in the success or failure of people in this criminal justice reform movement. And I would argue that lately we've been fucking failing because the right is fucking just grabbing the narrative and fucking winning even though crime is down. Don't get me going there. I want to talk about going into prisons and talking to people in prison. So I've decided that, look, you've visited all these government-run prisons. You should visit a private prison. I feel like that shit should come with some fucking, like, dun-dun-dun theme music. Because I know some of y'all like, did he just say private prisons? You can't be progressive and even say private prisons. Because that means you love capitalism. That means you love privatization. That means you have a problem. Fuck you. I went into some private prisons. And I talked to people in those prisons. And I'm so angry at myself for listening to y'all for 17 years. I tell you why. One, there's things about private prisons that are actually more fucking humane than government-run prisons. And I know you're like, what the fuck is he talking about? I don't believe people belong in prisons for the most part. But at the same time, stop your bitching ass fucking progressive, fake ass fucking I want to impress a foundation bullshit and recognize that 8% of people in prison is a lot of motherfucking people, and just because you want to hold on to your motherfucking philanthropic income by convincing foundations that you're super progressive man or super progressive woman, whatever superhero you need to be to bring in grant money, that you're fucking ignoring people who are sitting in prison and suffering. Because that was the biggest fucking lesson I learned talking to those dudes. That there's not a lot of people coming into prisons to offer support services to them. That there's not a lot of people from nonprofits coming in to support them. that there's no robust array of programs. And that's crazy, because all the government prisons that I've ever visited, there's tons of people begging to get inside to offer volunteer services. Volunteers get frustrated when they have a hard time getting into those prisons, but not in these private prisons. Why? Because the progressive left is so fucking good at crushing people for not being in line, for not being purists, that even people who work at nonprofits that want to go into private prisons and do work are worried about the scathing wrath of the progressive left that they'll get if people find out they went into a private prison, even though it's the same thing. People lock the fuck up, black, brown, poor, white people who need people from the outside to come in and provide programs, because no prison, private or public, is ever going to provide the robust array of programming that people need to emerge from prison better. And in private prisons, in some ways, you need it more, because y'all motherfuckers are celebrating the passage of the Pell Grants. Great. Some shit I worked on years ago, some shit other people worked on years ago. It took us 2 decades. Got it done. Got it done. Great. Congratulations. Guess what? If you're in a private prison, you're probably there from another state and you're not fucking eligible. Did y'all think about that shit when y'all was changing the law? Changing the policy? No, my point is this. You ain't gotta love a motherfucking private prison to be like, yo, there's people in there suffering and we shouldn't try to crush and scare the fuck out of volunteers who want to go into those prisons and offer support. But I know who y'all are. I know who's listening to this right now saying, oh my God, like he is fucking a problem. He's a problem. Like, I know who y'all are, because I know some of y'all who run these nonprofits that's all about anything privatization has to be a bad thing. And I guess I would ask you the same thing. Have you ever gone into a private prison to talk to people who are locked up? Or did you just quit your corporate job to come into the nonprofit space because your ego gets fed so well by your ability to scream and shout and say, I'm super progressive, man. I'm super progressive. Or whatever fucking hero you need to be able to bring in a shit ton of money, to be on TV, to be on stage, to hang out with celebrities, to hang out with entertainers, to go to football games, to be in a box showing how progressive you can be. I get all that shit. I get it. As long as you're doing those things because they're a means to an end. But here's what I'm saying. Like, expand your fucking horizons, open your fucking eyes, and stop becoming part of the problem. Because the minute you don't realize that you also have privilege, the privilege of raising money on the backs of people who are suffering, and then earning a living, some of you doing really well, on the backs of poor people and people who are suffering. Literally, there's a cottage industry about, I support people who are suffering. The minute you become the fucking oppressor, the minute you don't recognize your privilege, you're adding to the problem. In fact, you are the fucking problem. So that's what I've learned. I didn't ask to learn this shit. I'm not gonna lie, I didn't fucking ask to be on this side of the fucking game, but here I am. And I get to do things the way I wanna do it, and I'm learning some shit. The first thing I'm learning is, like, a lot of y'all motherfuckers are liars. But at least y'all all got the same fucking lie, but I'm not willing to tell it anymore. So, keep engaging your soft racism. Keep doing what you do. I'm gonna keep doing what I do. I still gotta go work out. This motherfucker ain't show up. Gotta go to the fucking dirty ass gym in my basement. But I'm gonna do it. And I got all this shit off my chest this morning through my Saturday morning rant. So that means I'm gonna have a great fucking weekend. I hope each of y'all have a great weekend. Don't let nobody steal your rainbow, and I'll see you next week. Peace.